Caitlin, what's the status of your health right now, and what specifically injury-wise between the ankle and the groin was it that prevented you from coming back this year?
Yeah, honestly, I've been working really hard to get back to full health, and I feel like probably over these last couple of weeks is when I've probably started feeling my best. Obviously, my ankle kind of didn't allow me to really see where my groin was at. It was, I think, my second full court workout back when we were in, I don't even know what month that would have been, but I just went to kind of make a move, and unfortunately my ankle like completely rolled all the way forward, and probably one of the worst sprains I've dealt with. But you know, I've just tried to stay positive the best I can, and but I honestly feel like I'm in a really good spot. And you know, people don't always realize, I mean, people that you know are kind of in the basketball world, or whether if you're in other sports too, like when you're injured, it's honestly more work than when you're playing. So you know, I've spent so much time here in this building this season just trying to get healthy and trying to kind of just get back to 100%. And honestly, I think that, you know, if I never was, you know, I obviously played that game in Connecticut, and that's where I kind of felt some more pain in my right groin, and then obviously had some tests and other things done. And you know, there was no decision of like, this is the end of my season. I had full intention of returning, and I think in a way that was probably positive for me, because that's how I approached every single day. I came in here like I was going to play, I was going to get back out on the court, and it probably would have been even more devastating and crushing knowing that I was never going to be able to put my uniform back on for the rest of the season. But you know, you just approach it like every single day you attack and get better, and it'll be the same for me going forward. Like that work doesn't stop. And you know, I think I've had really good perspective on it all, and that's probably what I'm most proud of too.
Hey Caitlin, good to see you. Obviously there's been a lot kind of going on this week.
What?
I may have heard some things. Wanted to see after Napheesa's comments and what she alleged that Cathy Engelbert had said specifically about you, what your thoughts were on that, and have a follow-up.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And you know, I think what people need to understand, you know, we need great leadership in this time across all levels. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history. Well, this league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. I think there's, you know, Fee said it all with what she said, and you know, I think the points she made were very valid.
Had you heard that story from her before she said it publicly? And then have you spoken with Cathy Engelbert or heard from her at all since then?
No.
Thank you.
Go to Chloe, and then we'll jump over to Lou once Chloe's done. Yeah, just with working back to full health, Steph mentioned that it was kind of baby steps and getting back and making sure you don't lose what you've worked on this season. Just what are your plans for the off season, and possibly playing or just doing individual workouts?
Yeah, I mean, probably take a little bit of a break here, just for maybe a week. I don't really want to lose a ton of the stuff I've worked on, and just trying to get my body back to full health. There's some USA basketball stuff I need to get ready for, and you know, I need to be able to find some runs and some ways to play 5-on-5 just so I can kind of get that feel back. And but more than anything, I think my main focus is really just getting my body healthy, and once we get back to 5-on-5, like just being able to test my body and make sure I know it's in a good spot where it's going to be able to hold up with everything that, you know, we think we've corrected or we think we've worked on, to be able to know I'm in a really good spot there. And, you know, when you go through injuries, especially in my scenario where it's been a few of the reoccurring kind of bouncing around, which isn't necessarily uncommon in my situation just because of compensation and, you know, when you're dealing with things in that groin area, that just is kind of how it can go sometimes. I think it's important that you can become confident in your body again, and that's for anybody that goes through injury. So that's probably going to be my main focus is, you know, just feeling 100% again, and then obviously, you know, having that confidence in my body too.
We'll go to Lou and then to Josh.
Right here. I'm just continuing on what Chloe asked. How close are you to that 100% and being able to do the 5-on-5? I don't think we really knew you hadn't played any 5-on-5 up and down the court.
Yeah.
So
I think that's probably where people struggle to understand at times is there is a huge difference than me standing there and shooting spot shots and running up and down. But in a basketball game, like, I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm planting here, oh, I'm cutting, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that. Like, you're just doing it. So your muscles need to be able to react and withstand that type of stuff. So that's where the 5-on-5 becomes really critical. And then obviously the contact piece of it too. Like, you don't know where you're going to be taking contact from, but you know, my goal, it was the end of October to kind of be out there and trying to get back to playing 5-on-5, and I think that's a very reasonable thing for me. And you know, I've been grinding as hard as I possibly can, and you know, that's how it's always kind of just been for me. Like, I love the work, I love putting in the work, and you know, that it's been difficult not being able to like see the time you put in, being able to put on your jersey and see it pay off. But I think, like I said, I think it's been a really good opportunity for me to learn a lot about myself and, you know, certain lessons that will probably be really important throughout my career as well.
Go Josh, then Brian.
Hey, Caitlin, good morning.
Good morning.
You know, Steph talked about AB just being the rock of this team. I'm just interested how her friendship helped you get through the rough mental times throughout the season.
I mean, I think it's obviously AB's tremendous. Like, we've always had a great relationship, and that's what exactly you need between your post and your point guard. And she's always been somebody that's been there to check in and pick me up. But I think that goes for our entire team, and I think that speaks for our entire season. I don't think it would be, you know, I don't think we would have had the type of success that we had if it wasn't for the friendship or the empathy people showed one another or the next man up mentality. Like, that was shown across the board in our locker room, whether it was, you know, for myself or whether it was for somebody that came in mid-season and got hurt. Like, it was always the same. Like, you always care for your teammates in the same manner. So, you know, obviously AB was tremendous in that role, and I think she had an incredible year, but honestly, our entire roster really excelled in that area.
With respect to your recovery, looking down the line, have you explored opportunities maybe to play 5-on-5 during the offseason as part of kind of that ramp up so that you're ready for next season and have played actual basketball before things start up again in the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always explore every opportunity, and I haven't made any decisions, and I don't know, you know, what that's necessarily going to look like for me. Like I said, there's some USA basketball stuff that is probably my top priority right now that I need to prepare for, and I think that will help me prepare for next season too. But obviously, then you have to prepare for USA basketball in some manner. So that, you know, there's just a lot of different things you got to figure out and balance, and you know, I'll work through a lot of that too.
We'll go Claire and then Elliot.
With you know, Fever playoff run, Pacers playoff run, WNBA All-Star, NBA All-Star are here, all here in Indy. Tell us what it means to you to play here and what makes Indy so special.
Yeah, I mean, this place is incredible, and I think you've heard so many people talk about it over the course of the last few weeks, whether it's the Colts, whether it's Pacers, whether it's been our players. You know, it's just incredible. It's, in a way, it almost feels like a college, like a university, like all the teams are supporting each other, and like you don't get that in professional sports really, but like you have that here, and I think that just speaks, like, I always say, like, obviously I'm from Iowa, like Indianapolis, I understand it's a big city, but it doesn't really feel that way to me. Like, it's a very close-knit group, like everybody supports one another, but then you have the professional sports teams, and that's what everybody's most passionate about here, and that's what I love about it. You know, people really show up. A lot of these fans, like these have been their teams since they've been 5 years old. This is all they've known. These are the only teams they've cheered for, and you know, to have this type of success across the board, obviously the Colts have had an amazing start to their season, and the Pacers run last year, and then everything we've been able to persevere and, you know, reach the WNBA semifinals. Like, it's a really special time in this city, and you know, I can't imagine myself in a better place, and just really fortunate to have, you know, made different friendships with different athletes across the city, and just have the support from not only the city but the state as a whole.
We'll go Elliot and then Brad in the room, and then going to try to jump into Zoom quickly.
Hey, Kathleen. There.
Sorry.
I'm French, by the way. The Pacers played in played an NBA Paris game.
Yeah.
And there is also the NCAA games in Paris. How much would you like to see a WNBA Paris game to
I would
showcase
love
your
it.
talent in
I
Europe?
would love it. I would go anywhere and play. I think that would be, as I said earlier, like, we're in a moment in time where, the WNBA has never been hotter. There's never been more fans. There's never been more international fans of the game, and that's where you can really grow, is in the international space. And I think the NBA has done a tremendous job of that. And I would love to go play over there. I think it would be really fun. I think it. Obviously there's quite a few, obviously if it's in Paris, there's some great French players on other teams as well that could make it exciting. Obviously the Pacers played Wemby over there, and I know they had an amazing time getting to do that. So I would be very open to that. I think it would be, great for the league to, try that out, see how it goes. And I'm pretty positive it would go well. So I would love it.
Brad?
Caitlin, this was not an ideal situation for you this season, but how much of an element of basketball learning were you able to get in having an extended period to just sit and watch and observe and be in the huddle and almost take on the role of another set of coaching eyes with this group this season?
I mean, it's not what I envisioned by any means. But, I've talked with a few people about this. I think, when I get a few years down here in my career, like, I think this is a moment in a season I'll look back on and be like, this is why I am who I am today. And that's obviously probably pretty challenging to think in that way right now, but I truly believe that. And, it was hard sitting on the bench. I'm not going to lie. There were certainly some hard days, but, I think it taught myself how to be a really good leader and how to be a really good teammate, and how to empathize for your teammates in certain situations. When you're in the heat of battle, your emotions are high, and you feel things differently. And I think when you're on the sidelines and you don't have your jersey on, you can observe and really watch people and learn about people. And I don't think it was so much for me like the basketball. I mean, like, obviously you learn about basketball. That's always how I've learned. I've been a basketball junkie. Like, you watch games, you watch the NBA, you watch college, you just have basketball on. That's the best way to improve your IQ. But also to learn about people and ask them questions and watch the way they operate. And for myself, getting to do that with my teammates, I think, is probably the biggest lesson I learned. And just, how can I show up every single day and, pour into them and be there for them, but also, going forward down the road, like, if I have a teammate that's injured or hurt or going through a tough moment, like, I know I will always show up for them and be there for them and check in on them, because it is an incredibly isolating thing, and you don't realize that until you go through it. And, everybody says it, like, but you don't feel it unless you go through it. So I think all of that is probably what I learned most.
We're going to jump over to Zoom, go to Malika Andrews.
Caitlin, I'm really glad to hear that you are on the mend here. I'm not sure how to turn on my camera, so I'll just keep going.
That's all right.
We've heard from a lot of players in the last couple of days that more good leadership, great leadership is what is needed. I'm curious, in your mind, what is great leadership? What do you hope happens from here?
I mean, I think over the course of my career, and obviously you always want to become a better leader. And I think I've been around a lot of really good leaders in my life, and I've been very fortunate and able to learn from those people, and I'm trying to learn and grow every single day as a leader too. And I think for me, and I've said this many times, it is all about relationships, and that's the truth. And I know that's really hard to say in professional sports, but whether it's a relationship with your front office, whether it's a relationship with Commissioner of the League, whether it's a relationship with your teammates, like, that's the most important thing in leadership. Why would my teammates want to listen to me if I didn't have a relationship with them? Like, I think it's the most simple thing, and you have to be very intentional about seeking those out and understanding your teammates. Like, everybody in professional sports comes from different walks of life, and you have to be able to know why they are who they are. Like, I think that's super important, and being intentional about that. So I think that's something I try to continue to improve in my daily life every single day, whether it's obviously, as a part of the Indiana Fever organization, or whether it's as a friend or a family member. Relationships are very important for me as a person. So I would just say, for me, I would say the most important part of leadership, whether that's the WNBA, whether that's corporate America. I think it comes down to relationships and really caring about the people you surround yourself with.
I should have been more specific. That's what you're hoping for from the league office when you say great leadership. You're hoping for that relationship-based great leadership.
Sure.
All right, we'll go one more on Zoom with Maddie Kenny, and then we're going to probably wrap up in the room with Brian.
I just wanted to follow up on a question that Alexa asked about, what Fee said, the story involving you specifically. And your popularity as a player obviously skyrocketed when you were in college and you had a lot of NIL opportunities and stuff. So I guess when you heard that, what was your reaction? Because it came off a little dismissive to your own brand and your own individual brand power, I guess.
I think that's probably the way in which the league has probably changed over the course of the last few years. These kids and what they're making in college these days is pretty insane. It's honestly probably more than what I made. Obviously, a lot has changed even since I've graduated, so I'm not 100% up to date on the exact numbers of what college kids are making. But, obviously I was very fortunate after my freshman year of college. That's when I began working with, different brands, and began working with Nike, and, everybody knows my first NIL deal was with Hy-Vee, the greatest grocery chain of all time, based in Des Moines, Iowa, baby. So best chocolate long johns around. But, I think that's the way in which, young women are coming into this league now with that type of, I don't even want to say it's money, but they're beginning to build their brands in college, and then they're bringing that to the WNBA. So I think that's just a way in which the league has changed and will continue to evolve. And back to my main point, like I said, we are in the biggest moment in WNBA history. There's no denying that. Everybody knows that. And everybody that's in a place in power has a true responsibility, and even myself, we have a responsibility to make sure that this game is in a great place going forward with the CBA, and, caring for our players, and, building this league to make sure it's in a great spot for many years to come, because you all know I grew up as a huge fan of this league, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this the league that, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, a girl in college is really proud of to come into, and to be able to put a WNBA uniform on. And, that's what they dream of. And then hopefully they can accomplish that goal, because that's exactly who I was. And that's, really at the end of the day, I hope that's what my legacy can be, is just how I impacted people to be able to maybe want to be in the WNBA, but to really just achieve whatever they want to achieve. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent there on your question, but yeah, that's all I got for you.
Last one with Brian.
Lexi Hall and the way that she kind of found her game a little bit offensively there later in the season. I'm curious what you saw from her just in terms of her development, how she adjusted to the way teams defended her.
Yeah, I think Lexi is, well, obviously, as you guys know, she's one of my good friends, so I don't really have many bad things to say about her. But every team in this league should want a Lexi Hall type of player on their team. That's just, never once have I seen her be disappointed in the amount she played. And I was here at the beginning of last year when she was getting DNPs, and was the exact same person as she is right now. As probably she turned into our third option offensively, because we lost so many players, but also she embraced that, and she worked for that, and she wanted to be in that moment. And I think she's really flourished, and her game has improved quite a bit. She's always been such a tenacious defender, and obviously you all know she's had some back troubles throughout the end of this playoffs here. And I'm like, Lex, you just play reckless. You're gonna, I was holding my breath those last few games, but that literally just sums up the type of person she is. She's selfless. She's going to go out there. She's going to lay it all on the line for this team. There was never a doubt in her mind if she was ever going to play a game in the playoffs where she had pain. She was going out there and she was going to play. There was no question. And that really just sums up who she is. And, we're really fortunate to have her as a part of our organization. And I hope it's like that for many years to come, too.
All right, we're going to wrap up there. I know the's a lot of questions, but I've already got Caitlin about.
Thanks, guys.
For her next meeting, so.
Make sure you listen to Life of a Showgirl tonight. And, yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone.